Hello everybody, it's Gary Hallican here, and I have some cool stuff to show you today. So I've got a couple model kits here that I got on Temu, and this one is a medieval knight, and this one is a samurai, and this is exactly how they came. No boxes or anything, just came in these bags, and these were very cheap, about $3 or $4 each. So we'll see if they were worth it or not. Looking at our knight here, we've got two big runners, all in one color, all in black. He was available in a few different colors. You could get him in white and silver and gold, I think. I think black might have been the cheapest one. That's why I got this one. But if we look in here, we can see a number of different weapon options. So there's a few different swords. There's a trident, and it looks like an axe right there. So, of course, a shield there. So we're going to have a lot of different options with him. And he comes with just a single sheet for instructions here. So just one single, simple instruction sheet. Then looking at our samurai, so we see we have two runners here, a little bit smaller than the knight ones, but in two different colors. So we've got a teal runner and a black runner there. And this one was also available in a few different colors. You could get this one in, I think, red, blue, yellow, and then the teal here. And looks like there should be a few different weapon options with him too. And again, just a single, one-sided in this case, instruction sheet. All right, so I'm going to build these, and I'll get back to you and show you what we get. Okay, so we're back with our complete figures. And they definitely have some pros, and I'll go over those with you. And they definitely have some cons as well. So for both of them, the builds are very simple, but actually performing the builds is a little bit tricky. So for the knight, a couple reasons why he was tricky to build is, for one, the instructions are very simplified, right? So it's not really clear which parts are for the right arm versus which parts for the left arm, which for the right leg versus the left leg. It just simply says on the sheet, don't get the right and left sides mixed up, but it doesn't really tell you much more than that. The other thing that makes it tricky is that the runner with the inner frame type parts, which seems to be like a generic runner for figures like this, it didn't have any knight specific parts on it, just mostly inner frame type parts. That runner has no part numbers on it. So you're just going to have to look at the pictures and pick out the right part based on the pictures. So that made him a little bit tricky to build. As for the samurai, the instructions are easy to follow, but a lot of the parts had very tight fits, especially the ball joints. So it took a lot of force to get those connected, more force than you might expect. So for those reasons, both of them were a little bit trickier to build than you might expect just from looking at the instructions. But let's go ahead and look at our knight first here. So some of the good things about him is I think he looks quite good. I think the knight armor was rendered pretty well here. There's some good, not a lot of detail, but you know, it looks kind of nice. The only big issue is this gap here at the hips, and I don't think I have anything built incorrectly. He just ends up with a big gap there between the waist and the hips. But otherwise, I think he's a pretty decent looking knight. He does actually have a face in there. So you can see it there. So that's nice. Does have a face under the helmet. Another good thing about him is he's pretty well articulated. So the head and the shoulders and the hands and the hips and the feet all on ball joints. So we can get quite a bit going on there. Of course, we got bend at the knees and at the elbows. And we got ball joint at the waist. So quite a bit going on articulation-wise. We should be able to get some good poses with him. But really the biggest plus point for the knight here is how many accessories he comes with. So you see on him here already, I've given him the shield. And he has a sword that will fit on his waist there. And those are the only two knight-specific weapons. Everything else he has comes from the kind of generic inner frame runner, right? So that includes the trident pitchfork that he's got here. That's what he was armed with in the pictures. So he does have one more knight-specific accessory. That's an alternate helmet. So that is cool to get, an alternate helmet. But as for other weapons, we've got all kinds of good stuff here for him. So we have an axe, and we have kind of a Bowie knife, right? And we have a short dagger, and we have another sort of broadsword, like that. And we have a katana, and then we have some extra hands as well. Oh, and I've forgotten one. Where did it go? All right, jump cut, because I forgot to take one of his weapons off of the runner. The most accurate weapon for a medieval knight, of course, a handgun. So we've got a lot of good weapon options. And then, as I was about to say, we have some alternate hands. So we have an open left and right hand. And we have fist hands. So very good amount of accessories. That is definitely the pro with this figure. You're going to get a lot of play value with him, switching out the helmet and switching out his weapons and posing him and all of that. The cons for him is that there are a few parts that don't want to stay on very well. I haven't had any issues so far as I've been posing him while I'm filming the video here, but during the build, the knee pads did not want to stay on at all, and he has a small collar piece in here that when you move the head, that really doesn't want to stay on very well either. But other than that, quite good. As you see here, pretty posable and a lot of accessories. All right, so let's look at our samurai next. So he also looks very cool. A little bit kind of futuristic robot samurai look, a little bit to him. You can see here he's smaller than the knight by a little bit. And like I said, the build very simple, but some of the parts needed more force than you might have expected. He's also very posable. So we got ball joints at most places. There's ball joint at the head, but it doesn't go very far because of his collar. But ball joints at the waist and at the shoulders and at the legs, the hips, right, and the feet. So also quite posable, and a good amount of accessories with him as well. So we've got these sickle type weapons that the instructions say to give to him. But then we also have, get him standing up here, we also have another trident pitchfork spear type weapon. And we have I guess it's not curved, so not a katana, right? There's a name for a sword like that, but I'm not sure what it is, right? But a, samurai appropriate sword. And then we have open hands, left and right open hands. And we do have an alternative waist piece. If you don't want to have him with the skirt type pieces on there, there is an alternative waist piece. So none of the parts really seem to want to come off too much. Just the crest on the helmet, it didn't fit in very well, so that might be the only one. Otherwise, though, seems to be pretty sturdy. So let's do a couple size comparisons with these guys. Okay, for size comparisons, here is a high-grade Gundam, high-grade 1/144th scale Gundam. So they're about the same size as a high-grade Gundam as far as height goes. So that's pretty good. Here is a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. So got Adam West Batman there. So you can see how they compare there. Here is a typical 12-ounce beverage can. And then here is John Cena. So you can get an idea of the size of these figures. Okay, so that's the Knight and Samurai model kits from Temu. There's some other ones on there of kind of similar type characters, right? Similar type figures, it seems like. These definitely have their issues. I think that a kid probably could not put them together on their own because of, number one, some very small parts, and number two, because the trickiness of the instructions, and because of the force it takes to get some of the parts connected. But once they are built, I think these are very good value. They're have a lot of posability and a lot of accessories, so that means a lot of good play value. Like I said, they do have some cons, but for as cheap as they are, I think they are very good value. So let me know in the comments if you have any of these, if you have any similar kits like this, if you have anything else that's cool, and we'll see you in the next review.